Well, folks, once again, it's time for Field Day. We all know Field Day. It is when members of the Chicago Suburban Radio Association, CSRA, put their emergency communication skills to the test when they participated in Field Day on Saturday, June 28th and Sunday, June 29th, 2008 at Veterans Park in North Riverside, Illinois. The annual preparedness exercise brings together amateur radio operators from throughout North and South America who are committed to assisting their communities in the event of a natural or man-made disaster. Field Day is sponsored by the American Radio Relay League, ARRL, the National Association for Amateur Radio. Field Day is designed to test operators' abilities to set up and operate stations in the field under emergency conditions such as the loss of commercial electricity. During the weekend, radio operators try to contact as many other Field Day stations as possible, simulating the fast on-air skills needed to assist local officials and serve agencies during an emergency. The CSRA has been serving Chicago area hams and radio enthusiasts since the dawn of radio itself. Their membership over the years lists well into the thousands. Many of these members were taught the amateur radio theory and Morse code by fellow CSRA members. Their members have spanned all walks of life, from construction workers to lawyers, bankers to broadcasters, and everyone in between. For over 80 years, Chicagoland men, women, and children from age 9 to 90 have called CSRA their radio club. CSRA is one of the oldest radio clubs chartered in the state of Illinois and has been affiliated with the American Radio Relay League for over 70 years. Building on this rich history, CSRA looks to the future with eyes on fresh ideas and emerging technologies. Ham radio is the premier high-tech hobby. It is enjoyed by people from all walks of life from around the world. The rules for becoming an amateur ham radio operator vary from country to country around the world. Using even the simplest of radio setups and antennas, amateurs communicate with each other for fun during emergencies and even in contests. They handle messages for police and other public service organizations during all kinds of emergencies, including hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes and floods, motorist accidents, fire and chemical spills, and search and rescues. Well, welcome back. We're here at Veterans Park in North Riverside, Illinois, as the CSRA, Chicago Suburban Radio Association, is having their annual Field Day. Actually, this is a field day that entire North America and South America. We'll talk a little bit about that. But first of all, I am with Scott Childress, who is the past president of this organization. And Scott, first of all, why don't you tell us exactly what is going on here with your Field Day?
Right here with our Field Day, Mike, is, as you had mentioned, it's going on all across the country. Field Day is a exercise that is set up by the National Ham Radio Association, which is the ARRL, the American Radio Relay League. And what the idea of Field Day is that you come out and you set up under emergency situation. In other words, you're not using power from the grid, you're using power from a generator, and you set up temporary antennas, temporary radios, and you try to make as many contacts with people around the country, around the world for that matter, as you can in a 24-hour period. So the whole idea is with natural disasters. We are seeing that with the Iowa floods now, and how the problems in Wisconsin as well. Hams are dispatched to go and help with emergency communication, because in situations like that, your main power grid is often offline. You have no power in your home. Your telephone system generally does not work properly. Your internet system does not work properly. And generally your cell phones will not work. Hams don't use any of that. They're off the grid completely. And what they do is they are actually communicating back and forth with radios that are able to run on battery power, on generator power. Some run on solar. Some people have also harnessed the wind. And the idea is to be prepared in case of emergency.
Well, we're back, and I am now with Tom Zimmerman, who is another member of the CSRA. And Tom, first of all, we want to talk about the digital aspect of what's happening today and the digital aspect of ham radio. So the question is most ham radio then analog, or is it digital, or?
Well, ham radio is so many things today. Ham radio is analog, and most people are familiar with that. But also ham radio today is very, very digital. The digital mode that most people are familiar with is code. Da-da-da-dit, di-di-da-dit. But another form of digital communications is TTY. That's a form of digital communications that's actually used with the deaf, but it's also used over the air. But over and above that, there are dozens of other digital modes that are used in ham radio today. For example, during Hurricane Katrina, the digital modes were used for communicating welfare information. They're very high speed, they can handle a lot of information, they're very narrow band, they are very, very easy to set up, they're a lot of fun to use, and it's purely zeros and ones. It's the digital modes that we know from computers and wireless technology and cell phone technology, can be used by an amateur for communicating health and welfare, can be used for communicating with other people, can be used, in fact, anywhere in the world and around the world. In fact, there's forms of digital modes now, one called Echolink, where we actually make use of the internet for one ham to talk to another. So those are some of the varieties of digital modes that are available today.
We're back, and I'm now with your name, sir.
My name is Prasad. My call sign is W9/VU3OPU. It is nice to be here on a CSRA club field day. I'm enjoying it. I'm with my daughter. She is also going to be shortly in a ham. She is studying for a ham license.
Vince from the Chicago Suburban Radio Association tells us about antennas and ham radio.
The whole intent of the antenna is to get the radio signal radiated into space as efficiently as possible. That can be done a number of ways. You can see the broadcast towers along I-290, and they're pretty high up there, and they have about 120 what we call radials in the ground, and the intent behind that is to make the ground conductive for radio signals. We do a similar thing in ham radio. Ham radio, we have two basic types of antenna configuration. First type is called a dipole antenna, and it looks like a T. It's two wires going from a center insulator, and we try to get that wire up as high as we can to get the signal out as efficiently as we can. Second type of antenna is what we call a vertical antenna, and it stands vertically on the ground. And to make that antenna work efficiently, we need to make the ground as conductive as possible to the radio signal, and we do that by just stringing what we call radials, which are pieces of wire, out from the center of the antenna radially. The more radials we put down, the more efficient the antenna is. As I said earlier, for broadcast, for professional broadcasts, I think the requirement is 120 radials, but we're just amateurs out here. We're not professionals, so we can get by with 16 or 30 radials and put out a respectable signal.
We're back, and I'm now with?
I'm Ed, WB9NLO. Been participating in field days since I was in high school back in the 70s. Came over here on my bicycle today. Nice weather for the field day. Just helping out the stations. We got people that are learning to be hams and getting them on the air to make contacts. That's what all field day is all about, and also demonstrating to the public what ham radio does out here.
Well, I'm now back, and I'm now with Ray, who is at another station here. We want to, Ray, tell us all about what is happening at this particular station.
This particular station, we use Morse code, old dots and dashes, and we also use radio teletype. Right now, we're done with Morse code for a while, and Tom, N9TM, is setting up to receive radio teletype. Now, those strange sounds, obviously you can't make any sense out of that. He runs that through a computer program, and it comes out kind of like email.
For more information on the CSRA, please take note of your screen.